National Cybersecurity Skills Framework, NCSF. A dissertation by Mr. Purnachatura Wickramasinghe. Sri Lankan government cadre has approximately 1.5 million officers. This massive cadre can be divided into technical and non-technical. Technical cadre can be divided into general IT staff and cybersecurity staff. Non-technical cadre can be divided into 4 levels, which are primary, secondary, tertiary, and senior. Sri Lankan government departments still haven't got any cybersecurity standards implemented to their workforce. As per the current situation, all the cybersecurity related work is done on ad hoc manner. The National Cybersecurity Skills Framework, NCSF, has been developed to cater this long-lasting deficit in Sri Lanka. The NCSF framework discusses the knowledge, skill, ability, in short KSA, cybersecurity elements government officers should possess in 6 different modules. Though this type of framework's available in other countries, a framework that suits to Sri Lankan requirements hasn't been developed yet. The reason why the NCSF framework has been developed for 6 modules is, the massive 1.5 million government officers in Sri Lanka have a distributed level of educational qualifications and experience levels. Hence, defining a one module would not be enough for the whole government cadre. The National Cybersecurity Strategy Bill of Sri Lanka got the Cabinet approval and it is now pending the Parliament approval. Once the Parliament approval is given, the bill will be fully enacted. Creating a competent cybersecurity workforce is a main concern raised in the bill, and NCSF framework will be a key component in the National Cybersecurity Strategy. Research gap. There is no cybersecurity competency framework in Sri Lanka. Though there are a number of international cybersecurity competency frameworks are available, those frameworks cannot be practically implemented in Sri Lankan government institutes. One reason is, those competency frameworks are supported by international laws and country of their origins laws. That is then not compatible with Sri Lankan laws. Another aspect of implementing an international standard is its cost-effectiveness. We can think of Industrial Control System, which is known as ICS, and currently being used by UK could be an ideal replacement, but it's a multi-layer security approach. These multi-layer approaches are quite expensive in price and it would not be suitable for Sri Lankan government departments who have a limited budget for their IT-related matters, let alone thinking of their budget allocated for cybersecurity. Also, these frameworks have to follow Sri Lanka's Cybersecurity Bill, which got Cabinet approval in 2019. To serve that purpose, it's essential to develop a very own cybersecurity competency framework which would satisfy local needs. Challenges. Challenges I've faced are, the awareness about information technology in government sector is less. Some officers have never been used to work using technology, let alone evaluating the whole government cadre in terms of their cybersecurity awareness. Also, there have not been any proper survey being done to analyze the cybersecurity awareness of government servants. Hence, it's difficult to evaluate the current cybersecurity competency level of the government cadre. Rich picture. The rich picture shows the high-level solution of the proposed framework. The framework has been developed in 6 modules. The cybersecurity competencies, knowledge, skills, abilities or KSAs are defined for primary, secondary, tertiary and senior levels are based on level of exposure those segments get in IT when dealing with government sector work. Non-technical and IT staff categories have given a general list of KSA, while cybersecurity officers of government sector have given more comprehensive list of KSAs. The KSAs for non-technical staff have been defined considering following 5 main factors extracted from the data analysis part. 1. Basic cyber threats. 2. Secure use of office computers. 3. Shared computers user policies. 4. Password policies and secure email handling. 5. user privileges and insider threats. NCSF model for primary level government officers. Primary level officers involve drivers, development officers, graduate trainees, cleaners, laborers and etc. Educating them on cybersecurity is vital as they could be prone to insider attacks. For example, a cleaning staff member could be bribed to plug a pen inside the server room. NCSF model for secondary level government officers. Secondary level officers involve management service officers, deputy registrars, internal auditors, work engineers, storekeepers like job roles. They should be given cybersecurity awareness as they could be subjected to sophisticated social engineering attacks. NCSF model for tertiary level government officers. Tertiary level officers involve administrative officers, directors, accountants, assistant directors and etc. They could be also exposed to social engineering attacks like phishing attempts and ransomware issues. NCSF model for senior level government officers. Senior level government officers are considered as chancellors, director generals, directors, secretaries, general managers and etc. They are the ones who take administrative decisions. Without them having a proper knowledge in the importance of cybersecurity, no security system can be implemented in the organization. NCSF model for IT staff government officers. IT staff usually comprises of ICT officers, information officers, trainees, ICT technicians, IT administrators and computer operators. NCSF model for cybersecurity experts in the government. The main government body for cybersecurity in Sri Lanka is Sri Lanka Computer Emergency Readiness Team, also known as Sri Lanka CERT. Also, few cybersecurity experts are working in Government Analysts Department, as well as Criminal Investigation Department of Sri Lanka Police's Computer Crime Unit. Data analysis. The framework has initially planned to develop based on 2 island-wide surveys conducted by Sri Lanka Computer Emergency Readiness Team. Those 2 surveys are 1. Public Officers Information and Cybersecurity Readiness Survey. 2. Supply and Demand of Cybersecurity Professionals in Sri Lanka Survey. Public Officers Information and Cybersecurity Readiness Survey data has been used to develop the non-cybersecurity CADA-related 5 NCSF modules. Unfortunately, the survey Supply and Demand of Cybersecurity Professionals wasn't completed on time due to COVID situation. Hence, the National Cybersecurity Strategy of Sri Lanka and other government circulars were referred to develop the NCSF framework for cybersecurity officers. Learning outcomes. Individual learning effort. Doing everything individually without getting any supervision from anyone else was a valuable skill that has been developed. Creative thinking. Creative thinking has been immensely developed while trying to solve problems and issues faced during the project process. This could be the most valuable learning outcome that has been developed during the project, as whole project was done during the corona pandemic time and it has been very challenging. Gained new knowledge. The project processes and techniques used in the research has helped to uplift the knowledge. Critical thinking. The project has helped to improve the critical thinking abilities as the author has to critically evaluate others' feedback on his work as well as his own work. Professional skills. Massively improved the professional writing skills, innovative thinking and time management. Contribution to the body of knowledge. Developed the most ideal cybersecurity competency framework for the Sri Lanka's government sector officers. The NCSF framework can be used as a reference guide in designing cybersecurity-related courses in Sri Lanka. Evaluation. Plus points. The evaluators selected are divided into two groups. Total 10 evaluators have been used in the evaluation process. 5 officers from Sri Lanka CERT have been selected in order to evaluate the cybersecurity aspect, as Sri Lanka CERT is the only government-related cybersecurity organization in Sri Lanka. Rest of the 5 evaluators are chosen covering different government organizations. Following are 2 responses I have got from a technical officer and a non-technical officer. A technical lead said, "The overall framework is quite descriptive and it will immensely support the management and HR administration in the recruitment and training processes." A government officer said, "This is a practical framework and this will be more than sufficient for government users to adopt." Evaluation, improvements. A research and development specialist said, "The framework developed through this research is comprehensive. However, the implementation of this framework should be phased out by implementing short-term, mid-term and long-term plan." An information security specialist said, "I would suggest to include the evaluation criteria for the framework to determine the KSA score for each officer so that they could have an idea about their current level to meet the framework goals." Reflection of the evaluators. All the evaluators have positively commented on the NCSF framework. Also, they have positive thoughts about implementing this in government sector in Sri Lanka as they unanimously believe knowledge, skills and abilities of government officers have to be uplifted to the modern era. Self-evaluation. The self-evaluation has done in 5 phases. The framework overall concept. As of now, Sri Lanka doesn't have any sort of a cybersecurity related guideline to measure the competencies of the cybersecurity workforce. This frame will fulfill that gap. Next, in detailed clarification of the framework. In detailed clarification has done so the stakeholders who are referring to the framework will know what competencies they lack and need to develop. Then, framework modules. The 6 modules have been developed in order to cover all the segments in government officer cadre and get more realistic results when the national cybersecurity strategy fully enforced. 4th one is adoption of the framework. NCSF is a component of cybersecurity strategy of Sri Lanka, which is currently pending Parliament approval. Once the Parliament approval is granted, the strategy will be implemented phase by phase, in short, mid, long-term plans. Last, suggestions to improve the framework. Many future improvements can be done to the framework, including referring it as a guide to plan cybersecurity courses. Issues faced. Following issues have been encountered in the process of the project. Acute solutions have been used to solve those challenges. Issue 1, the survey supply and demand of cybersecurity professionals in Sri Lanka wasn't available to get the proper cybersecurity designations in Sri Lanka due to some practical issues. Solution found was, referred government circulars and the National Cybersecurity Strategy of Sri Lanka for the vital cybersecurity job titles. Issue 2, some government officers were reluctant to give information fearing their job might at risk. Solution found was, collected the information anonymously. Issue 3, complete the project within a year. Solution found was, set targets per week and accomplish them. Issue 4, difficult to done face-to-face interviews due to COVID-19 situation. Solution found was, conducted the interviews online. Research limitations. The Parliament should approve the National Cybersecurity Strategy of Sri Lanka. NCSF framework is a part of Cybersecurity Strategy of Sri Lanka. The bill has to be passed by Sri Lankan Parliament to the framework to be full enforced. Getting older government officers familiar with IT-related matters. Modules for non-cybersecurity government officers have been developed generally. But, getting comparatively aged government servants adhere with knowledge, skills and abilities derived by NCSF framework will take some time. Continuous update of cyber threats. NCSF framework has to be regularly updated as new cybersecurity-related threats are coming into picture every day. It is not practically possible for great amount of non-cybersecurity government officers to keep themselves updated all the time. NCSF framework cannot implement with immediate effect. As of now, Sri Lankan government cadre has close to 1.5 million officers. So, implementing NCSF framework will have to be in short-term, mid-term and long-term phases. Completion of supply and demand of cybersecurity professionals survey. The proper job role-wise KSA defining will have to be done after the supply and demand of cybersecurity professionals in Sri Lanka survey is fully completed. Future recommendations. NCSF framework can act as a reference point for designing cybersecurity courses in Sri Lanka. The universities, vocational training centers and other institutes that cater the human resource demand of government vacancies can develop course modules using the NCSF framework so that students can follow those courses to complete their academic, professional qualifications and certifications. New recruitments to the government can be done referring to the competencies defined in the framework. The Government Analysts Department, Criminal Investigation Department of Sri Lanka Police's Computer Crime Unit can recruit future officers referring to the competency levels mentioned in the NCSF framework. Final thoughts. Sri Lankan government cadre has close to 1.5 million officers. Out of that government cadre, only iota of officers who are properly trained in cybersecurity domain. Sri Lanka barely manage the total cybersecurity human resource requirement per year. The NCSF framework provides a comprehensive information about knowledge, skills and abilities both non-cybersecurity officer cadre and cybersecurity cadre of government officers should pose. The framework provides a sound base to uplift the cybersecurity competencies in short-term, mid-term and long-term basis. I do believe that adopting NCSF framework will ensure that citizen data will be secured as government officers who are handling them will be competent enough to identify any cyber threats. Thank you for your time and patience.